And by the time it gets near the end of the show, they're like, all right, so the problem starts in schools. Like, if the schools were better, this wouldn't happen.
Maybe if we turn them all over to McDonald's, it would be more efficient at least. Because that's the thing, is like the solution is not to be found in stuff like The Wire, only the problem. The solution can be pulled out of the air, aka, what all of the billionaire funded NGOs have to say the problem is. All the people who have the same interests as you, but also have charts to show you. And of course, these charts are accurate because these guys watch The Wire too.
I just gotta say that, like, if it had been Hillary was the president that passed the ACA, and her equivalent David Axelrod, like, his insurance just like dropped his bundit pills, he had to pay like an extra
Terry McAuliffe.
a year. Terry McAuliffe, he would never ever acknowledge that.
No, because he knows that an extra $600 a month wouldn't mean shit to him.
Yeah, well, that, but also it's like, no, he would kill himself before dishonoring the administration like that.
Absolutely.
I mean, David Axelrod is sort of a Ronin because he was disinvited from the Obama birthday bash. That is true. But, we're kind of seeing why he was disinvited. Sort of a chicken and egg situation.
Honestly, the fact that he did not commit seppuku in front of that hideous fucking house Obama has in Martha's Vineyard is proof that he has no honor.
Yeah.
A samurai's honor is not worn for show. But okay, so like as long as we're talking about the Democrats, let's talk some strategies that could help them in the midterms, because come on, there's got to be something here. I'm reading a lot of articles. It's like, this Gen Z turnout's not looking great for Joe Biden. What are we gonna do? We got to do something for them. And Matt, I've seen, I think you're right about this. I've seen a lot of people saying, like, why can't Joe Biden just like deschedule marijuana at the federal level, or it's like, wouldn't that be an easy W for him? I think you're right that it's now totally too late to make a difference in that regard. Like, that is not moving the fucking needle, because
all the young people who want weed legalized, it's a good chance it is legalized in the states they live in by this point. And there's just so much other stuff. I can't imagine it really getting anybody that excited.
I mean, it's obviously the correct moral, and obviously there's political benefits to it. It's like a broadly popular policy, but it's just like these magic bullets. People think that he could just be like, just start, zinging off or whatever. Like, okay, here's one. Here's an idea that I think is worth considering. Can somebody perhaps President Joe Brandon or just make a political issue out of just junk and scam email and phone calls, which now are basically
wild. You can't use your phone anymore.
98% of all phone calls and emails that you receive are just straight up crimes, just straight up people trying to rob you. And there doesn't seem to be any attempt made to just stop this, or I don't know. Hey, could you cut down? So maybe half of the phone calls and emails I get are not just attempting to rob me.
This is I know you're saying, well, why isn't Brandon doing something about this? This is actually part of his abolitionist agenda to allow these crimes to go unpoliced because of ACAB.
Yeah.
ACAB includes people who would stop them from calling you about how you have to pay your IRS bill in Amazon gift cards.
The scam phone call thing, which every American seems to get about 30 a day, I've noticed. Yeah. I mean, time and time again, I have to say, why even have an NSA? What the fuck are we doing with this thing? We built the greatest surveillance apparatus in the history of humanity, something that no one ever could have conceived. They could go anywhere. They could see anything. They have metadata of everything. And they can't just go like, oh, here's a guy's house in India where he makes 47% of the calls to Illinois saying that their vehicle warranty expired and he needs to, the recipient needs to send their social security card and routing number. What the fuck? I mean, we're never getting rid of the NSA, obviously. It's just one of those things. One of those things that everyone will live with until this entire thing comes down, like student loans. But what the fuck is it doing? It can't do anything about this. Are you serious?
And again, it should be we are the only country in the world where this is a thing. I mean, I'm sure there are phishing phone calls in other countries, but I mean, like that we all know it. Everyone who has a cell phone knows that like any number that you get that's not in your contact book, don't pick up the phone.
Well, I will
And
say that America has much looser personal data sale regulations than any other country,
Well, it's got
any
to.
other industrialized country. Yeah,
Like,
because it's. I mean, it has to because it's the only new thing that you can make money off of is
exactly.
people's
Like,
personal
we
data.
basically have replaced the petrodollar with the data dollar at this point, and those things only have value because we have access to them.
Yeah. If you've been to Europe and you try just go to like a news website you usually go to, like it loads about like 90% faster. And all that like Chrome crashing that happens in America, it doesn't happen over there. All of that is just like data mining. Everything runs like shit here because you could just mine everything from everybody. But in the EU, where there is some regulation on it, your shit doesn't just brick like that. We're also probably never going to change this because yeah, like there has to be something. There has to be something because it's like it's either that or companies that lose $70 billion a year in a quest to gain total market share while also having the secondary benefit of providing a more precarious middle class with the experience of having servants.
yeah.
Like that data is essentially worthless. It's just the collective decision that it's hypothetically effective to use in market ads. That's the collective. That's the same as the lie that like the U.S. dollar is backed by something. Like you have to believe it for the circulation to take place.
It's incredibly easy to just get a bunch of phone numbers pinned to like any consumption choice in America. It's incredibly easy. I mean, one might say that America is the real Romeo dialer's paradise.
I guess that way, like you could look at like this thing as like a necessary black market parasitic part of the greater data economy. Like you got the legal pharmaceutical industry, and then you've got illegal drug trafficking, but they're both necessary.
It's like how, yeah, you could theoretically stop all drugs from entering the United States if you screened every single shipment that comes in, but that is absolutely impossible. Same deal here.
I mean, it just seems to me like you can, whether it's like student loan relief or legalizing marijuana, easy things that Biden could do but hasn't and won't do, and people will say, well, those are issues that only appeal to like people who are going to vote for him anyway. And like there's a certain amount of truth to that. But when it comes to the scam phone calls that annoy everyone, I think this is an issue that like everybody can get behind, or it's not just like, snotty young people or just like, the assholes that voters don't like. I think like, voting tax-paying Americans could get behind.
I mean, they would get behind it for sure, but I don't really think that they're gonna credit Brandon enough to pick him again and his party again.
Probably
I just don't think so. I think it's way too late. There's too many other things associated with the Brandon brand,
Did
like
you
it's
see
basically nothing but bad relationships. Like the checks people were getting suddenly stopped after Biden became president.
Yeah.
Inflation erupted
but
for
Matt,
the first
wait,
time
wait,
in 40
Matt,
years.
I mean, like, those people weren't really expecting $2,000, though. I mean, come on, weren't they paying attention?
Yeah, no one said $2,000.
And that's not an exaggeration. That's literally true. If you send John and the Reverend to Washington, those $2,000 checks will go out the door, restoring hope and decency and honor for so many people who are struggling right now.
Yeah, I mean, in the current way of doing things, the next president was always going to be the guy who comes in after unemployment flows for the first time in a lot of people's memories. This was 2020 and like the first like week of 2021. For a lot of people, that is the first time in their life that they ever saw the federal government give them anything.
Mm-hmm.
That is the first time, the first and only fucking time. The guy who comes in right after it is like, okay, substitute's gone, wheeling the TV out of the class, it's quiz time. And it was always going to be that in this current system, right? Because it's like, the dreaded tight labor market. We can't have that. But insofar as that it was never going to not be the case that Biden would be the guy who turns the spigot off, those people are also never going to like him. And that is just reality. I mean, I did see some crosstabs that show Biden above water, head above water with the silent generation.
With the silent generation, it's
amazing.
awesome.
Amazing.
Because they identify with him.
Yeah.
He's up there. He's very confused. People are telling him he shouldn't do it, and it reminds him of when their kids gently asked them if they maybe shouldn't drive their car anymore.
And young people also hate him.
Yeah, exactly.
And
the
vice
more young
versa.
people hate him, it's
And
like,
vice versa.
well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like I could still fucking drive. Okay, what? I hit a shopping cart. It was fine.
Well, here are some other ideas for the midterms. This comes courtesy of Jennifer Rubin in the Washington Post. 4 things Biden could do to help Democrats in the midterms, beginning with first, he can venture beyond the White House more than he has. It's baffling that his administration announced last week its dramatic release of 1 million barrels of oil a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve from the White House. Why not talk to energy workers in Texas or set up a podium somewhere in Pennsylvania?
I think can is I don't know about the choice of the word can.
The White House might be nervous about aggravating environmentalists who are not thrilled about reliance on carbon-based fuels, but Biden has already made the policy call. He might as well get credit for it. A 2 or 3 day tour around the country focused on cutting fuel prices would boost visibility.